one thing I don't trust anymore is like studies. You know what I mean? Like everyone says like studies are like facts. You know, objective facts. Like it's the truth. You know, and like it really depends on the study. But like I think in the majority of cases of social studies, there are always major mistakes in the studies in how the studies are conducted and the results. You know, because you know a lot of these studies that are conducted are just you know simple studies with just questions that you answer shortly. Like even even in big studies, like there's never, almost never, a big study with like where they conduct interviews, deep interviews, and where they actually get the truth from the people they're interviewing. It's always like I said, just quick questions, like write down your answer and everything. Or just they ask some fast questions in an interview. They never get in deep, They never really uncover the truth either. Because that's also another major problem with social studies. And that is that, it's like, for example, studies on how many girls experience SA. That you ask these girls, have you? Yes or no? And maybe in some studies, it's like you can get right if you want, it's optional. You can write how it happened or whatever, but it's always this belief that these girls will be truthful. Another study might, for example, might be on what the boys think about girls, and in my opinion, boys are a lot more honest than girls. So a study on what boys think of girls are a lot more reliable, in my opinion. While maybe not so much on the other side. Maybe it's because then again, there's a lot of variables. Like, let's take that for example. Even if boys are more honest and they say like, oh, I think girls are weird, they are blah blah blah. That isn't the whole picture. That's like what they think about girls in general. You have to really go into deep interviews and really connect with these people to get an honest answer. And sometimes even then, it's not an honest answer, And yeah, and on the other hand, this study might not be accurate, because if you look at real life, it's not similar. It really depends on the location. Like in China, boys look at girls differently compared to America. It's, you know what I mean? Like there's so many variables. Because that's also another thing. Even if girls might not be more honest than boys, in my opinion, on TikTok they are, on social media they seem to be. Like, the man hate is so open and widespread, and the heightism, you know what I mean? So they are honest there. Maybe they aren't. I mean, to be honest, their actions speak louder than their words. They are very much as they say. They don't like short men, and they don't seem to like men at all. But again, like, all these people point to studies. Like, sometimes in an argument, I keep hearing this, oh, men are evil because they commit the majority of crimes. Let me tell you something. Like, very simple question. What kind of men, What kind of men commit the majority of crimes? Is it East Asians, like myself? Is it people like me? Is it white Europeans, you know what I mean? From, like, maybe Sweden? Is it them? No. Because the few studies that have done these ethnicity by crime, I kind of know why it isn't done, because, people will be stapled as, racist or something if they make the studies. But from those I've seen, it's always like East Asians are at the bottom, whites are kind of at the top, at least in America, because they make up such a huge amount of the population. And yeah, in America, white people there are very many different types of white people in America. It's like the conservatives, the hillbillies, the crackers, you know what I mean? So yeah, debunk that shit. All these studies or statistics, they are so faulty, and I hate how people use them like they're fact, objective fact. Oh my fucking god. And in other studies, like, oh my god, 1/3 of women experience SA in their lifetime. Again, like I said, it really depends on if the woman is answering truthfully. And maybe they are answering truthfully, but maybe it's from their own perspective of truth. You know what I mean? A lot of girls say they experienced SA because a man looked at them funny or accidentally rubbed them the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes men, like, maybe over-report how many fights they've been in to appear more masculine, which worsens the image for men in general. Maybe if you have a study on how much does a man fight, you know what I mean? Like, oh my fucking god, like the point I'm trying to make, you cannot fucking trust studies that are fucking done through questioning, simple on the fucking surface questioning. No, you fucking can't. And all these studies are also biased, like shit. Like, please, you're acting like, oh my god, this is objective fact. No, it is biased facts that somebody has changed the wording of and changed, like, nitpicked on very many things. Like, in a lot of interviews, I've done studies myself, for high school projects and whatnot, and I noticed how easy it is to warp other people's words. Like, it's as easy as literally changing what they said. Like, nobody will know. Nobody will ever know, because it's me making a study. I control everything, you know what I'm saying? And even in the study, when you have, recordings, interviews, it was so easy to twist, the words by saying, like, let's, for example, say I make a study on how men view women, and I ask them, do you like girls? And they'll say, of course, yes. And I'm like, in a sexual way, and they'll be, yes. And then I can, frame that as, in my study, the majority of men, or all men, because I think almost all men will say that, they like women sexually. And therefore you can take the conclusion that men only like women sexually. Because, let's say we ask, let's go back to that scenario. Like, after asking them, do you like women sexually? They say yes. I ask them, do you like women emotionally when they are not kind to you? And they'll be like, no, I don't like women. Because, I asked a fucking weird question, I asked the biased questions. Of course they will answer a certain way. And then I frame it in my study, because, man does not like when women are negatively, are acting out emotionally. But they also like women fucking sexually. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh fucking hell. So fucking biased. So to summarize the video, it became a lot longer than I hoped. I hoped for 2 minutes, it's 10 as I'm recording, but to summarize. Studies that are done by social studies can't always be trusted. They can rarely be trusted, especially when it's specific things. You cannot, like, ask and get a straight up answer. Are men, what do men think about women wearing this piece of clothing? Or what do women think about, I don't know, fucking deodorant? It's like, it's so fucking varied. There's so many variables and blah, 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 blah. What type of deodorant is it? What the type of woman is it? All these... Oh, another point I forgot to point out, a critique is what the study group, what kind of people is it? A lot of these studies aren't random people. It's, universities or selected people from a certain area, you know what I mean? It's like, you don't study every single person randomly. You send out maybe studies to random people, but it's not as random as you can think or believe, because when you think about it, what kind of people answer studies? It's not like, people who are criminals or people who are like maybe the average person. Like, think about it. Does the average person answer studies that a random school sends out? No. What kind of people does that? People like maybe me, or people who are very political, very extreme. You know what I mean? You hear what I'm saying. I think you understand. And I forgot also to mention this major point. I trust, or not my points, but kind of the goal of this entire video. I believe my own studies, my own thoughts, my own theories more than any fucking study ever done, because I am a lot less biased than all these studies, I am biased, I can admit that, everyone is, but I'm not as clearly blatantly biased as a lot of these studies are, and I never will be, because, I observe, my self-studies that I'm talking about, they consist of every, life experience I have ever had, every conversation, every blah, blah, blah. It contains thousands of people, and, I think about all these variables, and you know what I mean, it's like a lot more reliable, because you know everything about this quote study, because it's done by yourself. So I think it's very, very stupid of people saying, oh, you have to believe studies all the time. No, you believe yourself a lot of the time as well, because experience is valuable. Life experience is a lot more valuable than people, think nowadays. They always think like, oh, just because you experienced it that way doesn't mean it's like that. It's always some truths in what you have experienced. Maybe it's not in general like that for everywhere, but where you're from, where you are, it maybe is. It's, for example, I mean, there are studies on this as well, but I'm trying to think of like something I think that isn't like that is no shit, but the studies say it's not, and that's maybe like do modern girls in the younger generation look down on men? Of course, the studies will say no. There's no significant study that supports this theory, but when you actually speak to the younger generation of females, they do not like men. They think we are superficial creatures. I mean, to be honest, the majority of the younger generations of men are, because of individualism, the sexual revolution, and all that. Same with the women. You know what I'm saying? But it, my point still stands. It's reality is a lot more different than all these studies say it is. So stop fucking blindly trusting studies. Stop blindly trusting everything. Stop believing that if they just say, this study says this, that doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means they have the idea of being right. Of being objectively right. It doesn't mean they're objectively right always. A lot of the time it does, but not every time. And you have to, like I said, look into it more deeply. Statistics like men commit more crimes, that doesn't mean men are worse. It just means that some men are worse. And I would just want to say that does not mean, or that does not include East Asian men. We are the ones that commit the least amount of crimes. So please, if women ever say, oh, men are worse than women, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. In East Asia, there the majority of crimes are committed by men as well, but that's only because East Asian countries are a lot more patriarchal, or whatever you say. I don't know. Maybe not even patriarchal. It's just men have more power, and yes, I know that's kind of how a patriarchy works, but it's not a patriarchy because it's not always a systematical oppression of women. I mean, some countries it is kind of like Japan, I think, and South Korea. And some parts of China. Chinese are modernizing very fast. But, when girls get the chance, when girls get into the positions of power, they are equally as bad as men, you know what I'm saying? It's all about power rules. When girls get power, they are equally as bad as men. It's saying men are worse than women is not true. Because there's a lot of women that are in the shadows committing a lot of crimes, because that's also a major thing, I think, that female crimes are severely underreported. Because, all these girls try to make up this idea that women are morally superior than men automatically just because they are women. Because, oh, we are more peaceful creatures, blah, blah, blah. No, 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 no. That's just an idea you're trying to form. Sure, you might be more peaceful creatures in the terms that you don't use violence, but you use other things like psychological warfare instead. Like, a lot of female bully victims can explain this. They have been bullied to the point of, literally wanting to end themselves just through words and social things. You know what I'm saying? They've never been hit by anyone, but all this social shit, it's like, that's the way women do enact their power more than men. And that's also a thing, like I said before, I believe, I think a lot of men's decisions are backed by a woman that wants a certain way. You know what I mean? But that's for another video. I'll have to edit this. It's currently almost 20 minutes long when it's originally kind of supposed to be like max 5 minutes, or it's gonna be 10 minutes. I think I have to organize it more next time, but yeah, thanks for watching.